I recently had a conversation with my friend who was struggling to get some of his players to roleplay more. After all, D&D is considered a tabletop role-playing game. So that role-playing part is important. And from what he was saying, his players did really want to roleplay more, but weren't quite sure how to do it. Every time they tried, it kind of felt awkward, they didn't really know what they were doing, and essentially what ended up often happening, it sounds like, is at his table, he would try to get them to roleplay, and it would devolve into them rolling an insight check against everything he said. Since high intrigue and social mechanics is kind of my cup of tea in D&D, he asked for some advice. And I know that he's not the only DM that struggles with these sorts of things, so I wanted to share the advice that I gave him with you guys as well. But while I share that, let's get some coffee. Option A, to get your players to roleplay more, put them in a situation where they have to talk to get information or cause a distraction. An immediate example that comes to mind would be a masquerade ball. Maybe they are trying to get information on a traitor to the crown, but they don't know who the traitor is yet. But the rogue heard from a reliable source that said traitor would be at this ball. Or maybe they need to cause a distraction in order for an NPC to sneak into a back room in order to get a precious family heirloom that was taken from her by one of the evil nobility. You could also do this pretty easily at a town festival or a town fair. The goal here is a crowded place with a lot of eyes. They can't just stealth their way out of it. They can't just murder everyone. They have to talk their way through this. Now, if your players don't have a ton of charisma on their team, that's fine. Normal people have conversations even without being a bard or a warlock that's high charisma. You don't always have to do a performance or deception check unless you think that your players say something or catch something that is substantial enough to warrant it. Your barbarian can have a conversation and seduce the noble without taking any rolls if you think that that will help them get out of the wait for the bard to do the talking phase. Option B, to encourage more roleplay, is to put key information into a snippet of conversation that they will overhear at the tavern or the shop. If the players are looking for a way to get into the castle without just storming through the front and fighting off all the guards, maybe they hear a rumor along the lines of, "Hey, did you hear what happened to poor Gilbert? The king came and sealed off the well. Apparently it was causing some sort of flooding in the castle or something. It's so weird." This snippet of information is vague enough that the characters are going to have to go around asking questions. They don't know who Gilbert is. They don't know if his well is still accessible. They don't know where his well is. So at the very least, they need to find out those things from people. And you don't have to be a city architect to figure out that a well somehow causing flooding in a castle usually means they're connected somehow. And that could lead to a secret passage. Now, this option does have the option for players to make some pretty big assumptions, to try and skip over talking. They could just break and enter into Gilbert's home, for example, but it will at least force them, at the very minimum, to figure out who Gilbert is and where his house is. This needs more creamer. Option C is dragging your players into the conversation by force. Let's say your players are in a public setting, whether that means that they're at a soiree or a party or a ball, or maybe they're just in the tavern coming home victorious after their latest quest. Regardless, an NPC spots them and immediately calls out to them. Spots them, drags the group over to their group of NPCs. "Oh, Lord Tenpenny, Lady Greenleaf, I was just talking about you. I was hoping you could come with me and the Lady Janice and discuss these rumors we've heard lately about all of your daring deeds." And they are dragged by the ear, by the hand, whatever, and forced into that conversation to tell these stories. And maybe they need to deny a rumor, say that it was falsified, convince them that it was falsified, or maybe they want to play into it and say that the rumors are true. To avoid this option, making a player conveniently wallflower. The key on this is to make the rumor and gossip be about something that the players have to care about. Make it something that they will not be able to keep their mouth shut on. Maybe it's a rumor in a character's backstory, or maybe it's a miscommunication about the big bad, and the barbarian is simply going to have to get mad about it. Got my creamer. Let's go. Obviously, all of these options have the potential for consequences. If they don't play the game of politics and intrigue at a masquerade, or they don't take the hook to go to Gilbert's well, there are some big consequences that could happen. Maybe they get framed to be the traitor that they were looking for, or maybe their NPC doesn't succeed in getting the family heirlooms that she was after that they were trying to make a distraction for. Maybe they get tossed in jail for trespassing if they're just going through every single well instead of just talking to Gilbert. Or maybe a fight that they wanted to avoid breaks out and now they're on wanted posters, or maybe they lose a valuable trinket or item. There's a lot of options there for potential consequences. But I also think it's important to remember that consequences can be good as well, and I think it's important to reward your players for role-playing. Inspiration is an easy thing that comes to mind as a potential reward. An easy, hey, great job in that scene, have advantage on your next roll or something. But I think it's important to reward them in-game as well. Maybe Gilbert is actually a blacksmith, and if they help him, he offers to make them better goods or offers them a discount on some of the items in his shop. Maybe if they're able to become friends with Lady Janice, she can get them into a secret society or an audience with the king himself if they need to talk to him about some problems. However, there is one other option that I told my friend John as a joke, but I do think it still has some merit. Option D is adding a theater kid to your table. And I do say that as a joke. It does not have to be an actual theater kid. Grab a veteran player or grab someone who really does love the social mechanics of a game and have them guest at your table as a guest NPC. Bring that roleplay energy and let them, frankly, make a fool of themselves because we're comfortable doing it. Usually I have found once one person is willing to make a fool of themselves, the rest of the team also feels like they can do that. And they start feeling more comfortable being vulnerable and allowing that sort of energy to occur. You can certainly make it someone who's a permanent addition to the team, but obviously that's a conversation for you and your table that you'll have to have. I know that with my friends at least, we all absorb the tactics and traits that we like of different players and different PMs. So if we like what we see in this theater person, we're more likely to try and emulate that. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. But maybe this person, this friend, shows up for a 1 to 3 session adventure as an NPC that needs some help and joins the party temporarily. Or maybe it's just one person who is playing an NPC that has very key information that they can only get from this NPC. Once they see how fun it is, maybe they'll join in. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what your favorite way to encourage roleplay is, and I will see you next time.